to tell you a story about self-protection, a story that was told to me by a young college-age woman. She was at a party on campus. It was, as parties often are, very crowded and very loud. She found herself up against a wall with people on all sides and a young man facing her. That young man then engaged her by grabbing a hold of the waistband of her pants and beginning to tug downward. She repeatedly asked him to stop, but he persisted and was seemingly amused by her distress. What was she to do? It was at this point in her story that she paused and asked me specifically what I would have done. I said, well, given that you really couldn't move, and you had asked him several times to knock it off, I think I would have brought my knee straight up the middle and given him a shot to the groin. But here's what she said to me. Yeah, I know, but I need to see him in class the next day, and I didn't want to hurt him. That is incredibly important. Given similar circumstances, she and I would have solved the problem very differently because we felt differently about the situation. Using a violent physical response didn't feel right to her. She didn't want to hurt him. And she wanted to feel comfortable seeing him in class for the rest of the semester. Ultimately, she solved her problem by getting the attention of someone nearby and motioning for them to come over to her. Once he knew she had someone coming to help her, he let go, and she was able to get away from him. She got out of an uncomfortable situation, and she felt good about how she did it. I offer that story because it illustrates the central questions that guide my work as a sexual assault prevention expert. What if sexual assault self-protection could be nonviolent? What if we could teach people to protect themselves against aggressors in ways that are flexible, account for their feelings, and effectively help them achieve their goals? Wouldn't that benefit us all? I believe it would, and I believe that flexibility in self-protection strategies is crucial because research tells us not all sexual assaults are the same. Some aggressors are angry, some are sadistic, some are simply manipulative and persistent, and a minority of them are strangers. Most are people we know, and often they are people we date. And research tells us that we are less likely to use violence to protect ourselves against people we know and care about. This means we must reimagine the way we train people to protect themselves. We have to ask what range of tools, both verbal and physical, violent and nonviolent, we can teach people in order to equip them to navigate situations that are awkward or dangerous and sexually charged. And we must account for people's own personalities, feelings, and goals when faced with these kinds of situations. So for instance, let's say that my friend tries to kiss me. I'm likely surprised and caught off guard by this, so I need a moment to figure out what's happening before I respond. But once I do respond, I want to shut him down without hurting him. Research suggests I could do that using simple verbal tools like his name or let's statement to increase accountability while also maintaining a sense of collaboration. So I might do something like this.
Whoa, Chad, what are you doing? I'm flattered, but this is not a good idea. We're just friends. Let's go back and play some more video games.
In this instance, I use subtle verbal tools to redirect my friend away from the kiss and towards something I'm comfortable with. Specifically, I use his name when I say, "Whoa, Chad, what are you doing?" Research from marketing suggests that we are more likely to get compliance from someone when we use their name. I also use a let's statement when I say, "Let's go back and play some more video games." Sociolinguistics suggests that let's statements are effective, fairly direct, but also collaborative commands, and that makes compliance more likely. These subtle verbal tools, coupled with the fact that I acknowledge my friend's intentions while also letting him know that I do not think this is a good idea, provide a potential transition away from the awkward and sexually charged situation. And importantly, I don't have to physically hurt my friend to accomplish that. Okay, now let's imagine that my situation has progressed beyond an attempted kiss. And this time, my friend has pushed me backwards on a bed and intends to crawl on top of me. A verbal response probably won't be sufficient, but I may not need or feel comfortable with a strong, violent physical response. I could still confidently stand my ground and prevent my friend from crawling on top of me without hurting him by doing something like this.
Chad, stop it. Get away from me.
In this instance, small amounts of physical pressure, coupled with words, may well be enough to get my friend to stop. In that particular situation, my goal is to halt his forward motion and get his attention. And I can do that by placing my feet at a very convenient location, his hips. This is near his center of mass, so he's unlikely to fall on top of me. It is also a hinge joint, so when I push there, he will likely buckle and stumble backwards. This may be the only physical tool I need to give me the space necessary to make my points verbally. I can now start a consent conversation if I wish, or, if need be, escalate to more forceful responses if he doesn't fall in line with what I want. Now, these are merely 2 examples, and they certainly don't capture the full range of possible sexual assaults. But my larger point is that people and situations and goals are different. So what if we make our self-protection strategies just as flexible as we work toward consent? What if we devise solutions that help people achieve safety in a variety of ways, some of which are nonviolent? Maybe then we would be a little closer for the kinds of relationships and interactions that we want, and that is empowering. Thank you.